Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we're gonna be as doom and gloom as humanly possible regarding SummerSlam. Because I asked you on X, what would ruin SummerSlam 2025 for you? I grabbed a whole bunch of your answers, and yes, a bunch of them are Travis Scott. I'm gonna review them and let you know what I think. I think that this SummerSlam specifically, more than ever, they need to knock it out of the park. Considering this is the first ever two-night SummerSlam, and they plan on making this feel as big as WrestleMania, I gotta be honest with you, right now at face value, it doesn't feel anywhere near like a WrestleMania. But hey, maybe they'll be able to make it work, but that's not what today is about. Today is about what they can do to completely ruin it. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And hey, don't forget, if you want more than just the daily wrestling content that you get here, make sure to check out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZab, where you're gonna get so much more extra content that we can never upload here. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. All right, let's get started with the video. Fiend. I'm sorry to everyone that I just triggered watching this video, because I think that if there's ever going to be a sound that causes universal flashbacks, PTSD on wrestling fans, it's gonna be that damn song by Travis Scott. Here's the thing, this was far and away the most popular answer. Nobody wants Travis Scott to come back to the WWE to use his sage and take 35 minutes to get down to the ring to ruin yet another major show's main event. I will say, I still personally feel like WWE can't just ignore the fact that they had Travis Scott help John Cena, one, turn heel, and two, help him win at WrestleMania. It seems like WWE, from the news that I'm reading, is done with Travis Scott. So are we really just gonna drop that plot point and pretend that it never happened? Again, I don't hate it, but like, come on, how did WWE not have enough foresight to recognize that this was gonna blow up in their face? Because now you have two major moments in wrestling history, Cena winning 17, Cena turning heel, all involving Travis Scott in a storyline that they're not gonna plan to pay off, it seems. And from what I'm seeing, people like Drew McIntyre, and I can only imagine other people in the locker room, do not like that Travis Scott was involved in all of this. In the most recent episode of Impulsive, he called him a piece of shit for ruining the WrestleMania 41 main event. So clearly, it's not just you guys, it's not just me. There's people within the WWE that also do not want to deal with Travis Scott again. And I just think it's just so funny that I think I could ask a wrestling fan, hey, what could ruin this funeral? And all of them would say Travis Scott. I don't think that there is a name more synonymous with dog shit now amongst wrestling fans than the name of Travis Scott. The Rock or Travis Scott showing up would definitely ruin elements of SummerSlam. Every story from now on should not involve either of them at all. We still don't even know why Cena sided with them. See, it's actually that last little bit that makes me kind of disagree with you. You're right, we don't know why Cena sided with them, so at some point or another, I'd like to find out why. And that requires the return of The Rock and or the return of Travis Scott onto our WWE television screens. If I have to choose between the two, I would pick The Rock 1,000,000% of the time. However, if The Rock is going to return, if The Rock is going to insert himself into narratives, I would hope it's to pay something off, not just to have something dangling in front of us that doesn't ever see an actual payoff, like what happened at Bad Blood or everything that happened since WrestleMania 40 involving The Rock. I would hate Travis Scott returning. I wouldn't hate The Rock returning. I'll leave it at that. Randy Orton heel turn happening with Jelly Roll. It has to happen with Cody Rhodes. Dude, I've seen so many people, including my co-host of the Wrestling is Cool podcast, saying that they want Randy Orton to turn heel at SummerSlam, and fair enough, but right now, the only match that he has involves Jelly Roll, and if I am going to get a Randy Orton heel turn here in the twilight of his career, where you would expect him to go on to win world championships, to feud with Cody Rhodes, to be the top bad guy of the WWE, I do not want this heel turn to involve another celebrity. Did we not learn our lesson with including Travis Scott in the John Cena heel turn? No. If Randy Orton turns heel, it's because he punts Cody Rhodes' head into oblivion. That is the only way that I want to see Randy Orton's heel turn in 2025. If Io just wins back the title, I respect Io as a great wrestler, but her last two reigns have been terrible. Not her fault. I don't know what's gonna change this time. You know what? I also adore Io Sky. She is my favorite women's professional wrestler. wrestler, but this is a totally fair point to make. Io Sky's reigns as women's world champion have, for the most part, all been very, very lackluster. The best parts of her championship reign have been when she loses the championship, because she's lost the championship in amazing matches. WrestleMania 40 against Bayley, and then this unreal match at Evolution against Rhea Ripley featuring Naomi. And it seems like the best way to have Io Sky grace our TV screens with her wonderful professional wrestling is by having her not be the champion. Ever since she lost the title belt, she's actually been featured on Monday Night Raw and having matches. Vice versa, when she was champion, they don't feature her at all. So at this point, if it means getting more Io Sky, I'd rather Io not touch this title for a long time. Fellas, I used to think that therapy just was never going to be for people like me. You see, I grew up in a household where emotions and mental health weren't really talked about. If you were struggling, the answer more often than not was just to tough it out. And if you were asking for help, that was seen as a weakness, not a strength. And as a guy, there's this extra layer. I was raised to believe that being emotional made you less of a man, so I bottled things up and convinced myself that handling everything alone was the right way. But the truth is, it just wasn't working. I felt stuck, overwhelmed, and honestly kind of ashamed that I couldn't just deal with it. If any of that sounds familiar, just know you're not alone. A lot of people still feel conflicted about therapy even now. That's why I'm proud to partner with today's video sponsor, BetterHelp, to help break that stigma. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can help unpack whatever it is that you're going through, offer real tools, and give you a fresh perspective, all from the comfort of your own space. You can use your phone, laptop, whatever device you feel the most comfortable with. So if you've ever thought about trying therapy, go check out the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/SantiZab, and there you're going to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/SantiZab to get that 10% off your first month. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get you back to the wrestling that you came for. The Rock showing up and turning Cody heel would ruin it. We don't need him, and the last time he showed up, he botched the whole story by not showing up when he was expected to. Again, I will agree with every sentiment regarding The Rock if it means The Rock showing up and then not showing up again to pay off. We do not need that. We do not want that. If The Rock is going to return, I want him there. I want him moving storylines forward, and I want a big payoff at a WrestleMania. I know it's a lot to ask out of somebody that's as busy as The Rock, but if you're willing to make that commitment for wrestling fans and impact storylines, then you better be ready to be there for the long haul in some capacity. But here's the thing, Cody turning heel, I think it requires The Rock. With the way that the stories have been laid out over the last couple of years, the fact that Cody Rhodes flinched at WrestleMania, the fact that Cody Rhodes flinched when The Rock offered him the ability to sell his soul, and now that Cody Rhodes isn't flinching, one of the ways that he could make up for flinching in the past is to finally sell his soul to The Rock. Like, it's there. It makes sense, but it only works, and I only want it if The Rock is there to actually pay this thing off. Cena pins Cody and remains a heel. I'm seeing a lot of people wanting John Cena to go back to being a babyface. I feel like a lot of people have a little bit of a sinking feeling in their stomach at the thought of seeing John Cena retire as a heel, considering the reason people fell in love with Cena in the first place was his babyface work for like 20 plus years. So I get it. But here's the thing. Let's say that Cena does go right through to his final match as a heel. That last moment, once the bell rings, once he's lost, he's gonna be the biggest babyface in the universe. So whether Cena goes into his final months of the retirement tour as a heel or a babyface, it won't change the fact that this man is gonna get showered with love once his career is fully sunsetted. I personally do want to see Cena win this. I was more sold on the idea that Cody should win this as early as like a month ago, but ever since hearing that Cody Rhodes is going to go away to film Street Fighter, I'd rather have a champion that's going to be there, and if that's Cena, great. And on top of that, the Cena heel run has gotten better and better and better and better with every single feud, and I'm at the point where I actually want to see more of heel Cena. Cody turning heel, I feel that it's too soon, and a lot of people are already expecting it, so there won't be much of a surprise if it happens. If they do pull the trigger on it, though, it would probably be because they want to turn Cena face and give him these last couple of months as a babyface. I think Cody turning heel has to be on the table. I don't see how Cody turning heel could ruin the show for you. I feel like that would be just such a crazy monumental moment. And here's the thing, Ishan, I don't believe in the concept that just simply because it's expected or you see it coming, that if it does get delivered in a way that is expected, I don't think it necessarily makes it bad. I've always made the reference that it's okay to let 2 + 2 2+2=4. Like, it's not a bad thing to do something logical when it makes sense. So if WWE can deliver a Cody heel turn, even if I see it coming at SummerSlam and it's delivered good, I think it's going to end up being loved by everybody. On top of that, there are so many wrestling fans, more, I guess, specifically WWE fans, that have never really experienced heel Cody, either because they started watching wrestling after Cody Rhodes had already left the WWE, so they didn't get to see his Rhodes Scholar work, his Dashing Cody Rhodes, or his legacy stuff, or they didn't follow any of his stuff in Ring of Honor, New Japan, TNA, the Indies, before he formed AEW, and that's when he was black-haired Cody Rhodes, and the moniker of the American Nightmare, heel Cody Rhodes, was born. And I'm here to tell you that he is a phenomenal heel, like genuinely fantastic, and I think it would be a treat for everybody to get heel Cody Rhodes. If the SmackDown tag titles aren't defended on the card, you know what, brother? I will absolutely join on this bandwagon with you. I demand that the SmackDown tag team titles get defended at SummerSlam. They already missed WrestleMania. It was a huge mistake because then they stole the show a couple of days later with their amazing TLC match, one of the best matches of the entire calendar year. Let's not make that mistake again, all right? The SmackDown tag team division somehow post WrestleMania got even better with more names, with better workers. It's getting better storylines. I think you got to do like a six-pack challenge, TLC ladder match at SummerSlam. Look, you got 2 nights. You got plenty of room. Don't make the same mistake and include the New Day versus the War Raiders for some bullshit Clash of Clans advertisement spot. Include the tag team division. Give them the payoff that they deserve on a massive stage that they've earned. Jelly Roll not hitting a shooting star press. I've been laughing about the idea of like, man, what if Jelly Roll is just like a god in the ring? What if he just turns into like Ricochet and is doing 630s out there and is doing Hurricanranas off the top of a Hell in a Cell or something? I'm expecting the absolute bare minimum from Jelly Roll. Unfortunately for Jelly Roll, a guy named Bad Bunny exists who kind of raised the bar for celebrities in our professional wrestling. So even a bar that I have that's set very low for Jelly Roll might be a little too high for Jelly Roll. But I've heard that he's training. He's lost a ton of weight. I'm genuinely deathly curious as to what Jelly Roll is going to look like in a WWE ring. I'm not expecting shooting star presses, but I am expecting a serviceable performance at the very minimum. And if it's not a serviceable performance, then it's just going to make fans mad that they wasted 3 main eventers on a match with a dude that ended up just being terrible in the ring. But I am optimistic. I genuinely am optimistic. I think that the Jelly Roll match, again, for all of its flaws that it even exists, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Cody having to take a kendo stick out of a Slim Jim wrapper to use it during the street fight. #ad. Honestly, this would be awesome. If this actually happened, I would be cackling in laughter. But I am expecting a bunch of sponsored stuff at SummerSlam. We had a bunch of sponsored stuff at Money in the Bank with the Fireball ladder. We, of course, have the Slim Jim table. This is SummerSlam. This thing is going to be riddled with ads, whether it's ads for the barricade, ads for certain weapons. We're probably going to have sponsored matches like we did at WrestleMania with the Clash of Clans match. We're probably going to have sponsored entrances like we had with Drew McIntyre's Doom Guy entrance. I have a feeling, though, this thing is going to be a corporate diarrhea storm of ads. Not having Aleister Black and Priest on the card. It seems for a 2-night event, they are having a 5 to 6 match card each. Better to watch, but it means that some matches will miss out, similar to the TLC tag match missing Mania, but I'm sure that they will add some sponsored battle royal. There are a couple of matches that are kind of in limbo. Like, does this have enough legs, enough storyline, enough star power, enough oomph to get onto to get onto SummerSlam? And I think that this is one of those matches, but I think off the back of Damian Priest, it will get on the SummerSlam card. WWE loves featuring Damian Priest in major matches. They love featuring him in major shows. He rarely tends to miss these shows. So I think that this is going to be the way to get Aleister Black on the card. But I'm also curious about other feuds that are flourishing right now, like Rusev and Sheamus, or Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn. Like, are they going to get on the card? Actually, speaking of which, if Karrion Kross is somehow not on the SummerSlam card, there's plenty of match space available, but he deserves this spot with the work and character development that he has gone through to finally bring this feud with Sami Zayn to an end. I mean, it just sort of feels like we're a broken record, right? Every single month is, if Karrion Kross does not get featured, I'm going to be upset. It seems to be the case. It was the case going into WrestleMania. He missed WrestleMania. It was the case in going into many of the PLEs, and he missed most of the PLEs with the exception of Night of Champions. He lost that Night of Champions, and people got mad at that too. Look, we have enough of a story here. We have enough in the arsenal to, I think, justify Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross at SummerSlam in some capacity. But, you know, you're mentioning missing out on Kross. What about missing out on Sami Zayn? Sami Zayn already missed WrestleMania. I don't want to see a year without Sami Zayn on both missing both SummerSlam and WrestleMania. That's not cool either. Honestly, Julia not making it onto the card will not only hurt the show for me, but the women's US title as a whole. Even if it's a one-off match just to showcase the title, Julia needs to be able to showcase that the SmackDown mid-card belt is a title worth fighting for. So I don't think that the SmackDown United States Championship is going to make it on the card, predominantly because Julia is literally feuding with nobody right now, and they've already not featured the US title on any WWE PLE. The closest thing to a PLE that we've had the US title on is a Saturday night's main event, a match, which by the way was very bad. So I'm not getting my hopes up at the possibility of Julia having a match at SummerSlam. I would say I think that this is the perfect reason as to why we need these pre-shows that are like 2-3 hours long to like give us something. Like what's wrong with having matches on the pre-show? TNA does it, AEW does it, Ring of Honor does it. Like all of the major organizations have matches on the pre-show to get people hyped, to get people to buy their subscription service or whatever. I feel like something like the US title could warrant at the very minimum getting on your 3-hour pre-show, which is just nothing but ads these days. If Naomi loses, I love Rhea and Io, but with a cash in that special, she needs to win that match and have an actual championship run. I'm willing to co-sign this. I also adore Io Sky and I really like Rhea Ripley. I wouldn't be upset if either of them won, but right now it just doesn't make sense. Right now the play is Naomi. Rhea and Io Sky are made women, especially Rhea Ripley, who at any moment you can just pull the trigger and make her champion and it would make sense. That's just kind of where Rhea Ripley is at her career. Right now, the most volatile individual out of these three in terms of like their career could catapult to the moon or completely crater is Naomi. They need to really nurture this little forest fire that they have, because if they continue to build Naomi as well as they have been, if they have her actually win matches and win feuds, whether it's dastardly cheating, whatever it might be, you could turn this little fire into a full-blown forest fire, a giant blaze, and Naomi could truly be the top heel in all of women's professional wrestling. That is the potential that you have with Naomi, and taking the title off of her right now, I do think is a mistake. As much as Naomi is a known commodity, I think right now, because this character is so new, she needs the title to help elevate the character. If Seth's quote injury had been a work this entire time and he cashes in, it makes LA Knight's win even more worthless and continues to push the idea that quote everything is a work BS that the IWC loves to cling to. Yeah, that's the IWC. This is why I basically don't use Twitter for personal reasons anymore. Yeah, the whole everything's a work, you're getting work, but it is annoying as hell. Like there's no such thing as a potential actual injury because you're just getting work, bud. Anyways, I actually disagree with you here. I want this to be a work. I am hoping that Seth isn't injured. I'm hoping that he's not out until WrestleMania. I hope that we've all been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and lied to, and that Seth Rollins sprints out there at the end of Cena, Cody, or Punk and Gunther, cashes in, heist of the millennia. You've all been worked, bada bing, bada boom, greatest cashing in the room. How you doing? Yes, of course, this will have people on Twitter being insufferable, like, I told you so, everything's a work, but whatever. I'm willing to deal with those annoying losers if it means Seth Rollins coming back earlier than we expect. Raquel and Roxanne retaining. I think new champions are needed to save the division. I disagree. I don't think champions are needed to save the division. I think that adding teams and storylines to the division is the way to save the division. I don't think that all of a sudden putting the title on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss all of a sudden, boom, fixes all the problems of the women's tag team division. I actually think that WWE is actually doing a pretty good job at taking little steps at rebuilding the women's tag team division, and they've done a great job at doing it off the back of a champion, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Don't get me wrong, I want Charlotte and Alexa Bliss to win because I think they could tell a really fun story as champions, but I just don't subscribe to the notion that we need new champions to save this division. Hell, you could give these championships a freaking Roman Reigns and The Rock teaming up to take over the women's division, and if you aren't going to give them a storyline, if you aren't going to give them matches, if you aren't going to give them opponents to go up against, it would fail instantly. As someone anyone who bought tickets to be there for the 2-night combo, I would really be upset if LA Knight isn't scheduled. Like, you mean to tell me that you don't have space for him on a 2-night card, especially after WrestleMania 41, where he woke up the crowd with Fatu? Hey, they make a great point. Make it make sense. How can you not have LA Knight on SummerSlam? You featured him so heavily in the storyline with Seth Rollins, B&B Security. He beat Seth Rollins, whether it was because of the injury or whatever. He still beat the biggest heel in all of professional wrestling right now, and you're not going to feature him on SummerSlam? That's crazy to me. I actually think that maybe LA Knight is just a victim of this injury. I think that it was supposed to be Seth versus Roman, and it was supposed to be LA Knight and Jey Uso, and Yeet Connection going up against B&B Security, but now with the Seth Rollins injury, it forced a pivot, and now Roman is in the tag match, and whoop, out you go, LA Knight. And that sucks. It genuinely sucks, especially like if you are a big fan of LA Knight and you spent all of this money to see LA Knight specifically and not getting him on the show. That's brutal. Cody Rhodes beating John Cena. He's filming Street Fighter in late August, where we won't have a world champion on TV for 2 months. Did you come up with that 2-month period? I actually haven't seen an actual number and the amount of time that Cody Rhodes is going to be gone from WWE. If it's 2 months, that is a long time. That would be missing, granted, September, that has no WWE PLE, so you can maybe make that work, but you would be missing Clash in Paris. You would be missing the Crown Jewel show, a show that literally requires the champion to be there if you're going to do the Crown Jewel championship match, right? It's actually because of Street Fighter and all of this being announced that I kind of changed my tune. I was so certain, like from the moment that Cody Rhodes lost this championship, that he was going to get it back at SummerSlam. Now I'm just not sold on that anymore. I'm actually going into the show with it being a little bit of a coin toss. I'm going into unknown territory here. I genuinely cannot predict who's going to win, Cody or Cena. CM Punk needs to win clean, no interferences, a full entertaining brawl between the ring general and the best in the world. I would kind of like this too. You know, it's been a while since we've just had a shenanigans-free, big star-filled main event. If it's got the big names like the Seth Rollinses, a Roman, a Cody, a Cena, a Randy, it seems like the default is bloodline rules, basically. All right, we saw it with Randy Orton and Cena. We of course saw it with Cody and Cena. We saw it with CM Punk and Cena. I just want a simple match. All right, can we just figure out who truly is the best in the world without having 35 people crashing the match and overbooking the hell out of it? Again, I like the overbooked nature of many matches, but if this one in particular, I just want to know who's the best. For me, if this match doesn't end up being surprisingly decent / good, I feel like it would put a stain on SummerSlam. Having 3 main event caliber superstars tied up in a meaningless tag match doesn't come across well. It'll be similar to the New Day versus War Raiders WrestleMania match. I don't think that it would ruin SummerSlam for me, but it would absolutely create a toxic talking point within the community, a maybe fair toxic point of, why did you waste 3 main eventers where you could have had 3 separate high profile matches on one celebrity appearance? Not even Bad Bunny got this many resources be given to him for his matches. He had The Miz and John Morrison and Damian Priest for his matches. This dude is getting Randy McIntyre and Logan Paul. That is a crazy investment into this match. And if this match ends up sucking ass, there's going to be a lot of criticism for this decision. Solo walks out the door. Make it make sense, Santi. Yeah, don't forget, we do have a steel cage match. And I'm really curious if the roast job from Jesse the Body Ventura on the last steel cage match, making fun of the fact that you can win by going out the door, maybe that forces WWE to maybe like change things, maybe actually like lock the door, put a chain on it. They used to, by the way, they used to put a chain on the door so you couldn't go out the door. Maybe they'll have to change the stipulation here, just escape over the cage or pinfall submission, whatever it might be. But I hope that Jesse the Body Ventura's words are ringing in WWE's heads when they're booking and creating the choreography to this match. Braun and Bronson winning clean will absolutely ruin the show for me. If Roman and Jey are set to lose, they must lose due to an interference. Plan B maybe, but not clean. In fact, you can't make your top draw and biggest crowd favorite lose in such a big stage. I think you can make them lose, but I think it needs to be in return for a huge payoff. And what is that payoff? If just Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker win, I don't see it. So because I don't see it, I'm inclined to agree with you here, where if Roman and Jey are going to lose, it better be because of some major interference happening from the so-called Plan B that was teased a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. All right, folks, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for submitting in your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next one. By the way, there's going to be a couple of videos this week where I'm wearing the same shirt. That's because there's a handful of videos that I had to pre-record for my editor who's going on vacation, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.